So maybe some banter going between the two. I know he was already getting the crowd amped up, but he's looking to do it a little bit more if he gets a victory. But let's move on from NA to EU now to our expansion regions. We have a lot of different regions being represented, very talented teams coming through. And first for me, Enigma, I want to start off with Australia with Zeppa.
Yeah, and this squad for me is summed up by saying underestimate Australian talent at your peril. And we've seen this over in competitive multiplayer with the CDL. A lot of people talking about Pred, and he wasn't really considered to be much of a threat. He goes into the CDL, absolutely tears it up, becomes Rookie of the Year, exactly looking to emulate exactly that. This guy has huge LAN experience. He's dominated over in that region for a long time, so he's used to putting up in big moments. And I think today he comes in and becomes a part of that top 10 conversation. He's looked good in scrims while here, and I think we have indeed got a future star on our hands.
Mentioned Pred, right? Australia, they have surprised us before, and I'm sure they're looking to do it again today. Australia, a region that always has to prove themselves.
Yeah, I mean, a region, right? They're down under, not exactly always looked at. We kind of forget about them for some reason, and here they are on the world's biggest stage, absolutely slaying out, and I think it'll be turning some heads, right? I think some of these players might pick up a bounty contract, see Zep, and be like, that's a free kill. I don't think that's the case.
Not at all. Hey, during these scrims, before we obviously get into map one, man, they were slow lobbies, 110 towards the very end, right? So I don't know how these teams are going to adjust to that, but some of our aggressive teams, which we're moving into for Asian region, it's going to get intense. So let's talk about the Asia region, and of course, moving into Japan with Sirius, Dandra.
Yeah, you have Sirius, Mariko, and CPA, like you said, qualifying through Asia, specifically Japan. And we saw in the qualifiers, they were just absolutely lighting up buildings with nades, throwing everything they had to try and flush out some of these teams. And they absolutely stomped their qualifier for what it's worth, right? But the thing is, the question I have, you're in a completely different lobby. The caliber of here compared to your regional qualifier is insanely different. So will that highly aggressive play style, is it high risk or is it high reward? But at the end of the day, this is a team that I think embodies what it means to be at the World Series of Warzone. They play through their qualifier, they make it here, and they're just excited to be on this stage.
Look at that smile. They're happy to be here. They're representing Japan, and they are looking to go all the way. 66 kills during their qualifying run, a very impressive number as far as I'm concerned. But they're going to have to battle against the CU crowd along with the 49 other teams they're going to be going against today. But make no mistake about it, they're here for a reason, and they're looking to win this entire thing. But let's move forward towards Africa, and of course the other region as we talk about Saudi Arabian team Zizix, who's looking to go all the way themselves, a talented trio.
Yes, of course, Zizix being the highest slayer in their qualifier, winning and getting top 4 every single drop, representing Saudi Arabia to Hamoud and Wadawi, who also in turn dropped 32-30 eliminations. So totaling in 97, what really stood out to me about this team is that collectively we always ask that question, do teams have that ability to disengage, re-engage, make those in-game decisions that are super important, playing aggressive when you need to? And that's one thing that I noticed that they do, especially in Zizix. He's that hyper-aggressive slayer. You have Wadahi, who's sniping essentially. Maybe we'll see some surprises here on LAN, but they seem like they're ready to go. They were essentially in scrims taking out even challenger players like Quicker, who we've seen play phenomenal in the qualifier, as well as Teeny too. So I'm like, those close range engagements, winning those ones is going to be important, because I don't know if you guys saw it, we saw a lot of scrims going on today.
We did.
And everyone was using lockness.
Yeah, that's true. And how many eliminations, by the way, just real quick for that little stat line, how many eliminations did they get? Or
97.
97, come on, 97 eliminations puts you easily top 10 here, if not more. I'm telling you, you cannot count out these expansion regions. Let's look at the full list, because there's a lot of great teams we want to give our flowers to. And Dandra, I'll pass it to you. Who are we watching?
Dude, I gotta shout out our Mexican squad, Panda, Clamp, and Extra J. I've been watching this squad for a little bit, and let me just tell you, I was walking around a little bit this morning, watching that early morning screen go down, and Panda, Clamp, and Extra J rather, just put on the moves. They were far and above everyone else, and you cannot sleep on this squad. Like, you cannot stop sleeping on our LATAM and Mexican squads, because they're coming out and frying.
Hey, listen, I know from previous esports, Latin America is a passionate bunch, okay? So their fans are going to be getting loud in chat, I'm sure, in the arena. And on top of that, these guys, they understand what they're in for, and they want to prove everybody wrong. Well, there it is, at least 9 wonderful teams, more team discussions to come. But now I want to focus our attention to the actual regions. And if you don't mind, I want to get the desk a little bit spicy, because I want to hear each argument as to whose region is going to be the best. And because we're in the home turf, Enigma, we'll start with you. EU, why are they the best region today?
I mean, quite frankly, EU have had to deal with quite a bit of disrespect over time. They very rarely get given the opportunities that North Americans do. When they do, it's often on awful ping. It's often playing tournaments till the early hours of the morning, and kind of a be grateful attitude. That's despite FIFA Kill flying on over to North America and winning the solo YOLO over there, and 2 of North America's best players being, well, European. And also, today we have 2,500 European fans in the Copper box.
That's right.
That are going to be willing the teams on to victory, and that's why I think there's no chance we lose today.
Hey, look, you got a thing called the green wall, and here you got the thing is the EU wall. That's going to be a powerful being and a powerful force to get through if you're NA or expansion region team. But you heard them say it, Danjo, right? You know, NA, they seem to get wins when EU comes across the pond over to NA. What do you think?
I feel like I'm fighting just a wave right now for trying to root for NA against EU, but
be loud.
Listen, Call of Duty was built off of NA, okay? Born and raised, 2 decades, we are here. Now, you might have mentioned, oh, some of our best players, yeah, bring it, let's go. Some of our best players are EU, but they don't get there without the backs of their teammates, right? Raided's teamed up with
That's a
Aiden
fact.
and Adrian. Tommy is with Almond and Noobs. You don't get to the top by yourself, my man. And also, why do they have to come to America? Oh, because the competition's better.
Okay, well, look, they're not going to smoke us first and foremost. Now, expansion regions have to be represented. Dream, give your best argument as to why they can win.
Do you all remember a long time ago when NA used to say that EU played weird? Well, NA and EU have been playing essentially, we have mixed regions over the years. We've gotten used to each other's play styles. So now global expansion will be that region I feel like that will play weird, because you guys mentioned the Latin American teams, right? I'm looking at Rodrigo, King Mati, and Zamund, because they dropped 227 points in their qualifier, having over 123 eliminations. Like, you think about that, you're like, maybe some of these global expansions teams will come out with something and some unexpected surprises.
But surprises indeed are going to happen. So we've gave our opinions, and you booed us, you cheered us. Okay, but now I'm going to give your opinions. Let's hear what you got to say first. Who thinks NA is going to win today? Is that cheers or boos?
Mostly boos.
Mostly boos? Okay, fair enough. All right, what about our expansion regions? Who think they're going to win today?
Oh,
don't count them out. You guys are sleeping on the wrong people. I'm just telling you. All right, all right, all right. Well, then let's go here. Who thinks EU is going to win today? Seems like we know who our favorites are in the building, and fair enough. Okay, we are on your home turf. Well, fair. We're going to take a quick break, but check this out. We got a lot coming up after the break, and Drop 1 is about to be underway. We're getting closer and closer to seeing who's going to be our Global Invitational champion. Coming back, we are going to be breaking down quite a bit. LCQ, we had those crazy wild card madness where we saw not only 10 teams punch their ticket in, but 2 wonderful teams during the wild card. Then we're going to get to hear from Enigma. We'll crack the code with Huskers near miss and Nate Dogg going big. And trust me, that section, you're going to want to pay attention, because Enigma, kind of big brain over there. And then at the end of the day, we're going to have Goj and Tiff go talk to Repulse here in the building. They're doing a watch party, and they're supporting us, our official side stream of the World Series of Warzone. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the World Series of Warzone Global Finals here in the Copper Box Arena will continue.
Follow along on social media for all your Call of Duty esports needs. Get all the latest info in real time. Just follow at COD_esports Twitter and Instagram now. Be sure to link your Twitch or YouTube account with your Activision profile now. Don't miss any of the amazing viewership rewards during the Global Final, including the chance to win a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 beta code.
All right, so the 3 of you here for World Series of Warzone. Let's go ahead and start with some introductions. Started with you, Jowo.
Hi, I'm Jowo. Warzone player, streamer, content creator, supermodel dating guy. I mean,
my name is Redman. I don't have the same accolades. I'm a better Warzone player, better supermodel dater. I do everything better.
I'm Limax. I'm from Australia, down under. I'm better than both of them.
Oh, also, while we're here, we do have a little surprise. I know we just got hot into this. Breadman has the most luxurious hair.
Oh,
and before we start talking about bucket hats and stuff, I want to see some action. So we're going to have Joe and Limax braid your hair.
wait, what?
Limax, Joe, have you ever braided anyone's hair before?
I have not.
There's a couple ladies, you know, my mom. I just forgot right now, though. I just forgot.
You forgot how to do it.
I've done it so much. It's like second nature. I just forgot it. It's like, bro, bro, do you brush your hair?
Bro, I just got it brushed. Just
Dude, no, this is, somebody that's got to the salon ASAP.
Brad, you are known for your bucket hats. We see them in the back of your stream. We know that you go through a process of picking them out prior to each and every competition. Which one is your favorite? Will you be wearing it tomorrow?
Okay, so my favorite bucket hat is the purple one that I wear. Honestly, only because it fits on my headset really easily. I always wear the expensive buckies for tournaments for sure, especially a tournament like this. I mean, this is crazy.
All is right in the world. We have a bucket hat on the head of Bread. Now you have to go ahead and rate their braiding skills.
I don't even think you can put on a scale. It was so bad.
Yeah, good. You meant good.
Yeah.
It was
off
different
the
term.
charts.
It was a different kind of slang term. You meant good.
Good to know. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Completely good luck this weekend. Hopefully you guys do win, but you guys have any last shouts before we leave here?
For all the people that are supporting us, thank you guys so much. It means the world. Obviously, there's like a ton of tweets and stuff all of us see. It means a lot to us. So thank you so much for cheering us on, and we will bring it home for you guys for sure.
I don't think there's anything that I could say to beat what Joe just said, so I'd say the same thing. A nice little thank you to everyone again that's supporting us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you to everyone. That's it. And shout out the Signal 50.
Vai começar, vai começar.
Global Finals presented by Prime Gaming. We're in beautiful London, England here at the historic Copperbox Arena where so many wonderful moments have taken place, and today will be no different. We crown our first ever global Warzone champion. I'm your host, Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by the wonderful Dream Crazy, Enigma, and Dandro. And I know you like the pre-show, but I know you
Tá
like
bonito o estádio, hein? Lotado.
But just so you know, for everyone at home and even in the audience, if you want to participate, we do have those viewer
Puta, ia ficar da hora se o Nanex estivesse jogando, mano. O cara joga muito.
with your Activision profile now, so you can get those viewership incentives, and on top of that, MW3 beta codes if you want to get involved. But without further ado, I think we're ready for drop number 1. So let's send it to our casters, Goj and Tiff.
Thank you so
Sinos vai
much,
estar jogando
Reflections.
também.
I am so excited to be here live in the Copperbox Arena, Goj, but we have been waiting from the beginning of the entire year live until now. 150 players behind us, and they're ready to get wild.
Ready to get wild, and not only ready to get wild, we also have amazing crowd. We have incredible watch parties going on online and on site. But game 1 is ready. Let's take a look at the players flying in.
Mapa 1.
These players have battled through stages, through last chance qualifiers, crossed continents, all to compete here in the Copperbox. We always talk about the leaders, the story of the legacy versus ambition, experience versus hunger, and Goj, the old guard versus the new guard.
The old guard versus the new guard. You've got Tommy, you've got Braided, you've got Allman, you've got Huskers, and then you've got some of our new faces. I asked the players to
Começou.
what's their best tournament experience, what's their most memorable moment in Warzone history, and many said the qualifying moments. London, you are witnessing greatness. 150 players on LAN. This is the largest LAN lobby ever in the history of esports. Let's take a look at the map.
And then we see the map. And the zone isn't necessarily the most atrocious one I've witnessed here. They could have pulled full on water. But looking at our first team, Nickel, Picnic, and Wagnificent. Wagnificent, such a win grinder, and honestly, going to do incredibly well here. You really want to land in a relatively safer area, maybe over by Sawa, which you'll see this team is. If you can get money really quick, but we wanted to get into the action, and DBZ, no stranger to it, already engaging.
DBZ back at it again. They had some chemistry rifts and they're already in trouble. The crowd not happy, but Z-Lane are already down and eliminated. Azen, Heed, Gromalok, one of EU's finest squads. They said, we're running 3 signals today, Coach. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And already they've got Clutch, Belk, and Destroy in their sights to try to grab the first team wipe.
We are less than 2 minutes into map number 1. They've already got their loadout. They've already got their signals. And Noobs is already going down elsewhere.
Agora só o ano que vem de novo.
Today you cannot find yourself full white. Gromalok's gonna try to find it. Grabs a knock. Should be able to clean this up, no problem. Destroy might try to sneak a res here, but Clutchbox has got to be saying, run away. We have to stay alive. Sure, they've got the gulag, but with Gromalok right behind, the signal out of bullets. Destroy will just barely sneak away.
You think about the stage
Derrubaram.
you know, we have the Cronin meta, and now we transfer over to the 3-2-1 meta, aka the Signal 50. You heard Limax in that interview, guys all just witnessed. He's like, I'd like to give a shout out to the Signal, and that's what everyone will likely be running here. While we look at this beautiful free cam shot, you can see where FIFA Kill is positioned, but our players are kind of contemplating whether or not do they want 2 or do they want 3 Signal 50 ops on their team.
That's exactly right, and we always talk about different zones of activity in Warzone, and one of those is, of course, the very beginning of the match. Big Pavo in trouble, finds one, is able to clean it up, but goes down in the process. Champy trying to grab a little bit of revenge and is able to do so. Nate Dogg goes down. The team that almost kept Huskers from getting to this moment does fall.
Let's see, Tappa just laying down, kind of positioning well. Taking the high ground early on is going to be nice, but you have to survive that. But checking on over Village, Aiden's squad really likes to land here. You can see that Z Smith, Ebates, and DJ Moss have already kind of rotated through, and Aiden electing to separate a little bit away from Rated and Adrian, and something that's really cool. I had a chance to sit down and talk to them just yesterday as well. At the helm of that is Rated, the IGL, who makes a lot of their positioning calls.
Got Wadawi now in trouble. Palooka, Tojo, pushing but Flex in trouble. Palooka's gonna try to come up here again. Lockman sub, the main weapon of choice for pretty much every single player at close range. Should have no problem here. Of course, resources are everything, and Smoke's one of the main resources you'll see every single team using. Now a little bit lost in the sauce, but is able to answer back. Palooka finds one. Moods goes down. Team 42 in trouble as Flex is going to try to get the better of his opponent. Player advantages, everything. Sure, you lose 1, you got 2 more. This should be a team wipe. Send them all to the gulag.
The issue is they need to keep moving and fight their way in. That ring is going to be no joke. That gas is very hard to run. You can see the kill leaders in the upper right now. Team Biffle on 4. Team Almond with 2, tied with Azen and Clapson. So off to a really hot start. Granted, we're not even 5 minutes into this match, and checking in with Wars, getting a little mixy here. Believe going down. Now the second player coming in, but Wars is trying to heal. He jumps in. Unfortunately, does go down. King AJ, let's get it.
This is a great fight. Wars was telling us before, I was competing before many of these players even touched the game. Will fall, but King AJ, one of their top slayers through multi-stage process to get to this moment. Last alive, not a kill to his name. And these are those moments you look back on. If I would have taken that fight, what would have happened? Brolic, a long and hard journey to get here, but is here nonetheless. One of the most wholesome players here, but will not seem wholesome on the map. Let's take a check in with one of those teams that we were talking about a moment ago. Huskers, Mutex, Jesus. An incredible squad, had a tough shake of it, ended up getting 5th in the LCQs, just barely missing out on making this stage, and after some shuffles around, some visa issues, and everything in between, finally they were able to make it. They got the call like 2 weeks ago, Tiff, and they're here, ready to prove themselves.
Yeah, we ran into Jay early on, just before everything was kitted out, and he's like, look, I've been playing since I was 9. My dad got me into this, and whatever I win here today, well, I'm giving it to my dad, but before that, you've got to survive. A lot of teams will be rotating through Observatory. Now Mutex and Jay, last standing for the team, are going to have to finesse around Gromalok, but you have to be able to see them first, and that smoke is constructing all of the view around them. But high ground keep it pace. He's able to crack the shield, but you have to make the pull, and unfortunately the numbers are not there. Now Jay, last alive for the squad, want to prevent
playing on ridiculous synths, has no problem fighting against the controller players and one of the other keyboard and mouse players with Huskers. A nice win, only lose one in the process. Remember that moment though, losing one there is gonna hurt, but the team wipe feels a lot better nonetheless. Flex here on the wide rotate. We talked about the early game, right? You wanna grab some early kills, you're gonna feel good about yourself if you got 4 or 5 like Biffle, but on the other side in the mid game, you've got to set yourself up for in-game. You've got to rotate early, especially in this 3-2-1 meta with the signals. There's always gonna be people set up on rooftops. You want to get there first, so find some early eliminations, then use the mid game to rotate to the end, and then you're set up for that final couple circles.
Not a bad shot. Saw Huskers going down in the kill feed, so I want to say I think he lost the gulag. Unfortunate for him, Mutex might have lost his as well. So we need to keep an eye on that, because if Jay comes back and they have one player last standing, but hey, Jay does win it.
Palooka, a little bit in trouble. Now folks, if you're taking a look at the top of your screen here, 2 teams have been fully eliminated. Palooka's gonna try to make it a third. Adrian goes down. Where are his teammates? They're not close enough to help. Aiden raided up inside the building. They don't want to risk a full team wipe here, and Tojo's going to push the equation. When you get a knock, you've got to full send. Aiden,
Caraca, mano pegou os dois de costa.
certainly not here, goes down, and now Raided is on the run.
Os caras deu mole ali.
Full hot pursuit to get out of dodge, but you can see that Tovar is going to play it a little more caution. He's not going to overextend just yet. He wants to be able to catch a nice angle on Raided, because to be able to go out so early on, take out a Titan, that is what
Acho que
you need
travou
to
de
do.
novo.
Low ground, playing
Ah,
through
não.
the tunnels, just keeping out. You can see Raided just nestling in on that fence line, trying to make sure his back is clear.
Here's the thing about this squad. Anybody could win. We're on 0 ping. The server's around the corner. Everybody is playing on the same game, the same map, in the same location. And Flex, a team that got 15th in stage 2, barely making it to the global finals, but not having to play the LCQ, and they're taking down a hometown hero favorite.
Oh, peep this. I do love a little bit of recon drone action to get some fresh pings for your team that's going to be running the Signal 50. We shoot once.
Travou minha webcam, mas eu vou deixar rodando assim mesmo. É, porque eu ponho na melhor resolução possível pra quem estiver assistindo aí, ou quem assistir depois. Vou rodar assim mesmo.
We actually have a quick interview with the first team that was eliminated. We're going to get a chance to hear from them and see what went wrong and see who it was, because there was a couple teams that went down at around the same time. So we want to get that check in here shortly and see what happened. There it is. Frankie is on the stage. Let's check in.
Can you just tell us what went down?
We went to our usual spot. There was 2 teams that pulled up both sides, got pinch boost to both, so a little bit unlucky when it happens. It's just on to the next map.
Had those teams done their research on you? Do you think they came for you specifically?
I think everyone knows our landing spot, so we will get targeted pretty early, so it's like we expected it. It's just the fight was such a 50-50, it could have gone either way.
If you were expecting it though, you considered maybe practicing dropping somewhere else just to be safe?
Oh yeah, we got like 6 different spots we're going to go to each map, so depending on what the zone is going on, but we know what we're going to do.
Okay, so maybe a change up in the next one?
Potentially, yeah.
All right, I'm sure I'm not going to be speaking to you again unless it's over in the witness position, but I do want to give you this as a good luck charm. It's the wooden spoon. Thank you, Tommy.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Shout out to Frankie there, hitting the wooden spoon to Tommy, one of the teams that I would have not anticipated to go out first. TBE, the Legends, the Titans, as Enigma said early, Tommy, the prodigal son, has returned and has exited early, but here's the deal. They land up near Tarak Village. He said it himself, everyone knows where we land and we've got to be
Tá baixando, tá pegando metade da tela.
Nofo, Dongy, Big Pavo and co, they're running into a little bit of mix here.
What's crazy about this Dongy play here, and I don't know if he's going to win, he is! Somehow comes out on top. Big Pavo, though, pushes the equation, is able to answer back. I was talking to Fonbutt in the bathroom right before we got started. He said, hey, TBE changed up their spots. They might be coming to us. Somebody's contesting them. Apparently, he was right. TBE, the first team out, is ridiculous. They've still got the momentum, but Zach pushing the equation, trying to answer back against Big Pavo.
Yeah, but with one shot on that Signal 50 allowing you to get the crack, you can just immediately close the distance with that Lockman SMG, and that's why on the desk earlier they were saying how many eliminations that SMG has, but Braxton, Empathy, all of them popping off, and I've been keeping an eye on that, but let's check in with some of our previous winners, Blade, Savvy, Ultras, and Vortex. You can see Blade already on 2 eliminations, a good chunk of damage, and navigating just the outer edge of ring.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough spot. Again, as we're kind of nearing the mid-game of the first map of the Global Finals, you've got a previous winner and, of course, a previous solo YOLO winner. Blade went from, like, 160th total earnings on our earnings leaderboard to, like, 4th because he won $100,000 individually and won the World Series of Warzone last year. A ridiculous feat, and they're, of course, trying to go back-to-back. This is going to be tough, though. This rotation in, we're already into the mid-game. Other teams have been here for a while, set up, ready to go, waiting for them to rotate in. So I'll be curious if they can come out of this inside the top 10 or so teams. We still have 44 teams left. Signal, though, certainly can clear you a path.
Get a good chunk of that map and that picture-in-picture. You can see we're pulling straight over to Rohan Oil. Team Smixy, no stranger to that area, will likely have already been. But let me tell you, I saw the elimination feed earlier, and I saw a little loadout single next to Flanked with a death, so maybe he got crushed a little bit, so we'll have to keep in see how they're doing.
Sure. Yeah, hey, there's a lot of ways to die in Warzone, that's for sure. We'll see if we can get a clip of that later. Blade on 2, couple knocks. Again, team, game, kills aren't everything, but on the scoreboard, kills are everything. Especially with the flare gun in game, you can get people back so easily, even in the late game circles. We're gonna have a lot of floaters as we get into those final couple circles, so audience, pay attention to the number of teams. FIFA kill, first time on main stage, and his team is full wipe. Oki able to come back, but FIFA in trouble without a single kill to his name. FIFA goes down, I don't know what's happening, but it's King AJ in Wars pushing the equation. This looks a lot like stage 1, Tiff.
That's a little Amiya on Amiya violence, if I've got to say, for EU. You think back to 2021, the trio, Juki's, FIFA, and Wars were the winners of World Series of Warzone. Now here representing 3 different teams, and of course, they run into each other.
All right, well, there's a team that a lot of people back in North America have been cheering on for a long time, and I know our on-site watch party with the Pulse Check's been cheering on as well. We saw Biffle, we saw Sage. They're not too far away, but He's, who's been having a great game thus far, gets wiped. Adrian pushes the fight. Aiden and Rated, they've restabilized Tiff. They've kind of found their feet underneath them. Seemingly all is well, and this is the making of a fantastic game for them and the making of a great team. We talk about this all the time, Tiff. It's not about how hard you can get hit. It's about how easy and how fast you can get back on your feet after flying back in from the gulag.
And that regain, once you get into a blender where you start having numbers advantage, it's very complicated. But Team Flex here on your screen still has all 3 members and the ability to clean out Team 44 and 37 and 9. Additionally, they just need to keep an eye out on Team Savvy on that northeastern side that has the potential to gatekeep them, but they have to go forward. And the issue is, when everything is open and you have no smokes, life's a little tough.
Yeah, precision airstrikes and everything in between. There's a lot of fighting going down there, but a couple teams, we're making several teams in this area here in Oil. Adrian on 2 is just going to try to catch somebody out in the open. Of course, you got a night vision scope like this. You can pick some people off in the rotations, which is what they want to do. The problem is, somebody tries a third party, pushes in from below as somebody else is flying in above. You're going to catch yourself in a complete disarray. Blade, though, going to try to continue to clear his path forward. We'll see where this next zone pulls. And, well, nowhere nearby, Mr. Savvy Ultras. You're going to have to get on your horse and start moving. I still think they're in a tough spot, but look, the Italian Wonders, they've done it before. They can do it again.
Team Flex now fully eliminated as well. Squad 1 gonna get wiped. That's gonna be Juki, so we gotta keep an eye, and maybe someone had an ability to come back. But we have 103 players left in the lobby, and now we're just kind of patrolling the outer. But the issue with this open area right ahead of Rohan is you have to go down in elevation. Where Blade is currently positioned will be at that ultimate high ground, and you can kind of keep an eye out. Now they are running that Schlager night view scope on the Signal 50, which will allow them just a little bit of extra boost on the thermal sight. But the issue with that is you run the risk. A lot of people, Super Evan included, are running a different scope that gets them that faster ADS speed.
That's right. That's a great shout, Tiff. And I need to remind everybody here in the stadium and everybody at home, of course, we've got that classic World Series of Warzone format. Our multiplier doesn't even start kicking in until you're in the top 35 teams. We're not there yet in the 4th circle. We still got a lot of Warzone to be played, but those team numbers are going to drop dramatically here in the next 4 to 5 minutes. So be ready. It's going to be ticking down like seconds on a clock. Super Evan Colors, Swag, they're going to have to push forward. A team that just barely made it here after a monster effort near the end of the World Series Warzone series. They got a chance against our wildcard team, Tactical Brit. Able to answer back, a couple nades, takes down 1, but should be no problem to get the revive here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in this area. Not every single team has a full team of 3, though, so somebody's going to be in for a rude awakening, and I think that's Reader.
You have to be able to maintain this building and clear out this side of your zone to prioritize the rotation. They have a couple signal 50s. You see Swag is using the night view, so that'll help. But the moment you peek, they're already anticipating it. That's the issue with the signal 50. It is so incredibly quick and takes minimal damage to do that. And that's actually going to be Tactical Brit on the other side, and he really showed off winning that wild card map on an epic layer cake during the LCQs, but they are about to take down a powerhouse. Super Evan able to close the distance, grab one, gets the trade, but immediately gets dumpstered on.
That was almost a full wipe. If you notice, I think he got the flare off in time, so there's one floating up above, and that's what we talk about, survivability. It is so difficult to full wipe teams here, not only with the flares, but also some of these players, they showcase some movement on Al Mazrah, able to jump onto a buy, sacrifice themselves to get their teammates back, and of course, portable buy is another way to do that. But watch out, I don't know if it was Swag that was able to get back. I think it was. One player left alive for that team, and we are into the multipliers. I said it was going to go quick. We were at 39, now we're at 30, and now the gulag is closed, so not a single safety net allowed for any team aside from those flares. We'll see what they're able to do. Aiden, Rated, Adrian, they like their spot now, not too sure. Gonna have to fight through a ton of teams on the way to center zone.
My issue with, I love their position. They don't have any self-reses, they're really low on shields, but they did give Rated all of the cash, call in the mobile buy station, so they're probably looking to maybe grab a self-res, grab a UAV, and really prioritize their positioning for the end game, because navigating throughout all the buildings, you know just as well as I do that someone is going to be just camped up in a building looking for positioning and being able to prioritize that to grab the eliminations at the end. But you are right, we are finally into the multiplier, and it'll start crawling up.
Sage on 6 with 8 downs. This team has been the top of our leaderboard since the very beginning, in a little bit of trouble, but they've got player advantage. They are not worried at all. There are 3 Slayers on this team, but 2 specifically playing the Slayer role. Shifty has elected to take up the dirty work role, as we call it. I was talking to Repulse before this, who was kind of coaching them prior to the watch party, and Shifty, an incredible player, here with something to prove. Got a chip on his shoulder, and this team is going big already in the first map.
You could say that about almost every player on that stage, Goj. Everyone has something to prove because it is to be taken. It has to be earned, and Aiden, Rated, and the young gun Adrian are working on that positioning, but you have to get through. Mind you, Skullface, Hisoka, and Mayapo have already positioned themselves near the track, so they're a little bit closer. You can see Braxton and Empathy just on the right side. They have a little bit of cover, but this is going to be monumental as eBay, Z-Smith, they get completely wiped. Rated able to clean it up, and now with the smokes, with the shields, can prioritize that next position.
All right. Let it breathe a little bit here, Tiff, because this is the calm before the storm. Methods trying to do something, landing on top of the building, unfortunately, will fall. Now we're into 26 teams remaining, and every team just trying to set themselves up before the chaos that is the final couple circles, especially with a lot of floaters up in the sky. You want to keep those flares. Squad 37 goes down, that's 8. They said, hey, we didn't get enough love on the broadcast, Coach. You got to shout us out. Well, I'll shout you out now. 22nd place or so. Hopefully it was a good game.
GG go next. We hit the 20th place mark, that 1.4x multiplier. And as that circle starts to close, you have to start thinking of the teams that have already put themselves in a solid position. It's going to be Team Panda that is going to be holding that next Northern mode, and Sage racks up another one, wanting to get closer to that double digit. The moment that Sage, Shifty, and Bizzle start feeling themselves out, mind you, Shifty was playing with Hisoka and Skullface, now has joined this roster, and they are just going off on all of these teams, fighting tooth and nail for it, but a PA, or rogue PA, will be the nail in Sage's coffin.
Here's the thing, this map is a massive one. Of course, Shifty, I was gonna say last alive, Sage somehow able to snake out of the way. This is scary for the other teams. You've allowed the top Slayers on the map to make it inside the top 16, potentially top 15. Our other wildcard team potentially in trouble, Desmond falling. I still see Rocket and Zakar alive. Shifty out in the gas, gonna work his way in, hanging on by a tooth and a nail, and maybe a little bit more than that. Watch out for Biffle at the top of the leaderboard. I can only imagine you're gonna see them there regardless if they go out soon.
We did see Dez go down, but Crowder was still alive. The wild card team coming in from the NA Last Chance qualifier. That was such a doozy to watch. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna have to go back and watch that water ending. But positioning yourself here is gonna be nice, but if you can take a couple picks to maybe force them to heal off, prioritize going forward. But Morpheus, they're gonna be able to catch off guard. There's one thing I've learned about the Morpheus squad is their ability to consistently make it to endgame.
That's right. They're always in endgame. I cursed them in the stage 2, but they made it through LCQs regardless. Savvy Ultras proving me wrong yet again. A lot of people doubted this team somehow after winning World Series of Warzone last year. Stage 1 was a fine performance. Stage 2, they dominated, and now somehow into in-game after a massive rotation. Savvy Ultras on 6, this should be a really good game.
DukeX's team is going to fall, and so will Biffle's, and they're going to have to continue. Wars and Breadman, though, still representing. We can see Jowo and Co just on the right side, but look who has the high ground. Hisaka, Meapo, and Skullface. They are poised and positioned. Plenty of Signal 50 ammo and just ready to take this, because if you can hold that, you just look at it, Crowder and Nico, there's nothing they can do.
Incredible.
They basically just shot their ankle off.
An amazing high ground position. This is exactly where you want to be. Look at the next zone pull, too. I know it's small on your screens at home, but look at the zone pull they have. They have high ground, and they've got the next zone position. Skullface on 7. This is the battle of the champions. No! Jowo comes up from down below. Skullface is able to answer back. That's now 8. Unreal, Tiff. The battle of the champions. Savvy Ultras alive, winning EU last year. Hisoka winning NA last year. First map already, we're seeing the battle of the Titans.
Look, Soka was absolutely locked in those shots earlier, showing off the chain, but they have maintained the best position. And now Redman and Limax are short on Jowo, but that was such a game-winning fight, right? If you can take the roof from them, you can potentially take the game. But now you see Jowo is gonna be re-knocked by Skullface, re-fooled. He wasn't able to get back in, and now they just have to keep the lookout. We have 5 teams remaining, 13 players. We are about to experience the end.
NA versus EU champions, some regional expansion teams still alive as well, and then the boy Jowo braiding Breadman's hair, and I think we're back-to-back in the scrims leading up to today, so they'd like to go 3 in a row. We'll see. Climax pushes the fight now. Clip shown on screen going down. Mexico on your screen, looking to make it big in the first map. Panda on 3, gets the flare off. We're gonna have a floater. Mexico's gonna be floating up, down to the final 3 teams. Panda trying to push the equation, goes down. Breadman, mouse and keyboard player going big, cleaning up all of Mexico almost.
Limax said, I'm just here to shoot my gun, and he does. He said, I'm carrying at least 5 flares on me. We're gonna have a flare off, but unfortunately Limax will fall as Soka has delved down onto the other knee. They have cleaned it up, and they will be your map 1 winners.
I cannot believe your North America champions somehow not only win map 1 and are excited about it, but had a ton of kills to boot. They came here to ball out, Tiff. I asked every competitor here who their scariest team to fight was, and, well, Team Hisoka was at the top of the list.
I mean, I would be scared to chow Soka. Man, that guy is a grinder. Skullface was one of the first people to ever unlock that new camo by streaming for a solid week straight.
É, os gordão ganhou.
Here in final form, and making that roster swap to pick up Meapo once again has proved that they here are not playing.
Of course, when you win that map, you get the 2 times multiplier, so a massive game, let alone, we'll let the admins do the math behind the screen, but you'll likely see them near the top of the leaderboard. I got a couple questions in my mind, though. When you look at that leaderboard, where's Biffle gonna be? They had 26 some odd points going into the final 15 teams. They were frying. Where's Savvy Ultra gonna be? The Italian squad, the other champions from EU, they had a fantastic map. I saw Rocket go down inside the top 6 or so. There's a lot of teams that are what if, where are we, what are we gonna do? But the big question looming in my mind, Tiff, where's TBE gonna, where are they gonna drop? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna change? Because they're in trouble. First team out, wooden spoon in hand. They got a lot of ground to make up.
Well, good thing there's 5 more matches, because I can only imagine if you land somewhere so publicly throughout any kind of tournament warming up for this, and most of our players, they don't like to change things up too frequently, but you heard him. He said, hey, we've got a plenty of other drops, because let me just tell you, they do not want to collect another wooden spoon. But once again, congratulations to Soka and Co for taking that win.
Look, we can talk about this all day, Tiff. There's so many what-ifs. What can we change? The makings of the best Warzone players in the world are the people that can think on their feet and adjust on the fly. You can have all the strategies in the world. You can have all of the practice, but what will you do here on main stage in London, Tiff? What an incredible first map of Warzone, and I gotta say, if that's how the rest of the games are gonna go, couldn't be more excited. Let's toss it over and check out that HyperX victory moment.
No, that was actually really impressive there out of Skullface, just playing it patient, had the durable gas mask, and as we run back those celebrations, that just goes to show you how important it is to find those gas masks early on and be able to anchor it out. The fact that they were able to filter out Limax and Breadman there, but hey, you know, I talked to them yesterday, and they were really excited. They are the two-time DMZ undefeated winners, and they said they came here to win.
Second place is pretty impressive, I gotta say. The big question in my mind, right? It's kills, kills, kills. How many eliminations do you have? That multiplier is gonna be clutch. Of course, 2 times for first place is massive for Team Hisoka. There's gonna be a lot of math, but there's gonna be a lot of points on the board for that team, Tiff.
I know we're queuing up an interview so we can talk to Soka, Skullface, and Mayapo, and I'm curious if Frankie has got them down on the stage, because I really want to hear, and then I want to see what's going on. So take it away, Frankie.
To be honest, Tiff, I nearly had to go over to the booth and drag them over here because they were so caught up in their victory on land that they forgot they had to talk to me. But it's all right, boys. I'll forgive you if you give me some good answers. Soka, you guys took the W in the North American World Series of Warzone Finals last year, but now you're here to prove yourselves on LAN. What's it like playing in London?
I mean, it's wild, man. The crowd is amazing. The vibes are amazing. Wagwan, London, Wagwan. What are you saying? What are you saying?
London, he's been preparing for this event by watching Top Boy.
Sinceramente, a minha opinião era pra ter sido o Kinas pra ter ganhado, mano. Representar o Brasil. Tá bom, né? Fazer o quê? Melhor jogador que ganha.
Just play our lives, and hopefully I use that gas mask to get behind the enemy.
What? Were you aware that you were going up against your NA adversaries, Team Jowo?
That they were the last right there? I didn't matter who was the live right there. I just knew we were going to win. And if we stayed in our positions and played well, which we did, we won the game.
Skullface, he's not giving me much trash talk. He's being very classy right now, Soka. Were you very satisfied when you heard it was Team Jowo that you took out?
Say that again. Oh, Jowo? I mean, don't matter who I take out. They all suck. So.
Is this going to be your only victory on LAN? Or do you feel like more's coming?
No, that's a marathon, not a race, and we're here for the long run.
Yeah, no sprint to the finish, although that was an aggressive game from you boys. I do want to come over to Mayapo as well before I send you back to your booth. We were talking yesterday about the fact that you were caught up in the Canadian wildfires early this year. You had to leave your home during the qualifying period. With that in mind, what's it like now being here on LAN and just being able to blow the competition away?
Like, it's good to be back playing, you know, like the tourney.
You are quiet but incredibly deadly. What's your focus like when you are face to face with the enemy?
What's it like?
Yeah, what goes through your mind? Because you're a silent assassin.
Oh, I just love playing like 1v1s. Like, I just love shooting like back, you know?
Have you got a message for anyone who wants to 1v1 you today?
I'm down to 1v1, like, you know, because I always play against Soka.
And who wins in the 1v1s between you and Soka?
Soka.
Soka, that's not true. He's being incredibly humble right now. But you know what? Soka's his team captain. He's got to show him some respect. We're going to head back to the desk as these boys head back to the booth to see if they can keep up this momentum.
All right, what a game, number one, and to be expected, right? I mean, it was exciting with some early exits and some big victories. Hisoka saying everybody, I mean, come on with that energy Juki's had. Hisoka's been the same way. He brings that energy of I'm the best, nobody can beat me, and he brought that and wins game number one. Incredible performance. We look at the highlights, but I want to start off at the very beginning, Dandro, and let's talk about TBE and what happened.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it sounds like TBE, they have their drop spot, they're locked in, they have their game plan, but guess what? You're playing against a lot of players who maybe you haven't played before, and we kind of heard some people maybe shifted their sort of game plan, start landing there, maybe think that they were going to be uncontested landing there, and it just kind of, you heard Tommy say, kind of ended up in a third-party situation, and I don't care how good you are as a player, those are tough to come out, especially if those two other teams decide that they want to focus you.
Hey, Dandro said changing game plans. Let's talk about Azed Enigma, who changes his landing spot very, very quickly off of drop one.
Yeah, well, right at the very start there, we see Asian and Cole land in airport, and actually throughout stage 1 and 2, they were landing at Alstream Pass. Okay. They decided to change that because they took a look at where every NA team was landing, and they wanted to avoid Hisoka. Turns out that was a very wise move, wasn't it? But he decides to land airport, and then they bully DBZ away. And the important thing about that is we're going to be watching and seeing what's going on here, but that is going to evolve throughout the day. Certain teams are going to be pushed away from POI, certain teams are going to dominate, but all the way through, we're looking to see who comes out on top in these opening engagements.
And Dream, I want to talk to you real quick and just throw something your way. Tactical Brit, by the way, taking it to Super Evan. Are you kidding me?
I know, that was crazy. I mean, the fact that he's in higher placing, of course, than TBE at the moment, right? It's not like they can't come back from it. But what was really crazy, of course, even in this end final zone, how everyone was fighting for the high ground. And of course, Hisoka's team was already up there, and we saw Breadman Chowo trying to push them, right? But they couldn't. Even though having that one knock, they were able to get the self-revive, and then, of course, at least able to take second and having to fight for that high ground. Positioning is key, and Hisoka and Co had it. Not to mention, they all were alive, which you want your team to be alive in that late game as long as possible, and they did it.
Long as possible, Hisoka, game number 1. But let's not forget Panda. You were hyping him up earlier, making that move top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I cast over him back in a tournament in Amsterdam last year, and he actually flies over from Mexico, pays so much for his plane ticket just to come and prove himself on land that when he does eventually win the tournament, he just about breaks even on that plane ticket. If that's not trying to prove a point, then I don't know what quite is. And then he comes in here, 3rd in map 1, and definitely a squad to keep an eye on for the rest of the day.
Skullface rocking that Signal 50. A popular gun today, huh, Dendro?
Yeah, it's a little popular. I think we might see it just a little bit. I think we might find some actual hard numbers on that. But the thing I want to see, we see it highlighted here in this HyperX victory moment, is that you saw that they gained height on that building, and we saw the flares popping up. Well, guess what? You don't have spawn protection when you get brought back in from a flare. It was basically shooting ducks all day for them for some very easy points at the end.
That's right, and I also want to go right back to you. Early zone, looks like it's pulling Rohan. That early setup for some teams seemed to be beneficial. How do you think it paid off?
I think for a lot of teams, it definitely worked out. I mean, especially them, right? We saw how important getting that high ground was. Jowo and them were trying to grab it, but then they get kicked off, and obviously it doesn't work out for them.
21 eliminations for Team Hisoka, plus the 2x multiplier. I'm no mathematician. Everybody should know that by now, but I definitely think that should be first place. But don't take my word for it. We'll be tallying the scores. Incredible job from Team Hisoka and Co. We'll see if they can continue to do it. But now they got a target on their back, and everybody's going to be gunning for them. Well, that's map number 1 done. We have some more to go. 5 more games. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, map 2 will be coming your way.
Rapaziada, finalizando aqui, ó. Não foi dessa vez pro Brasil, mas tá bom. Eu ainda acho que era pro Nanex estar jogando, beleza? Talvez era uma força a mais aí pra equipe. Mas é isso aí. Avisar aqui. Se gostou, deixa seu like e compartilha e se inscreva, rapaziada. Vou estar trazendo mais conteúdo, beleza? Eu já fui.